All right, ready to dive in. Today we're tackling the story of Joseph. You know, the one from the Bible.
Ah, Joseph.
We're going deep with this religious education curriculum and trying to see how God was working through all the crazy ups and downs in Joseph's life.
I mean, talk about a roller coaster, right?
From being betrayed by his own family and, left for dead,
Yeah.
to ending up in a position of power in Egypt.
Yeah, the guy went from a pit to a palace. It's wild.
It is. So let's start with the curriculum itself. What kind of perspective does it take on this whole story?
Well, I think what's so cool about this curriculum is that it doesn't shy away from the human element of the story.
Like the family drama.
Oh, absolutely. You've got jealousy, ambition, forgiveness. It's all there playing out in these really relatable characters. But at the same time, it always keeps this idea of God's plan in the background, like a sort of a connecting thread running through everything.
I like that. It's not just a historical account. It's trying to get the deeper meaning behind it all. So let's get into the nitty-gritty. The story kicks off with Jacob, Joseph's dad, showing some pretty blatant favoritism towards him.
Oh, yeah. Jacob definitely played favorites.
But how does the curriculum actually show us that? Like, what specific details does it point to?
It really dives into the whole coat of many colors thing. You know, that famous coat everyone talks about?
Yeah, the one that probably caused all the trouble.
Well, exactly. The curriculum points out that it wasn't just a nice gift. It was basically Jacob announcing to everyone, this is my chosen one, my future leader.
Oh, I see. So it was like a huge status symbol, way more than just a fancy piece of clothing.
Right. And of course, Joseph's brothers saw that, and let me tell you, they were not happy about it.
No kidding. I mean, who wouldn't be jealous? It's like their dad was saying, hey, you guys are all great, but Joseph, he's the special one.
And it's like he was setting him up for failure almost. I mean, talk about sibling rivalry. This was next level.
It definitely set the stage for some serious drama. But it goes way beyond jealousy, right? They actually sell Joseph into slavery. Like, how does the curriculum handle such a brutal act?
Yeah, it's intense. It doesn't sugarcoat it at all. But what I find interesting is how it draws attention to the price they sold him for 20 shekels of silver.
Oh, wow. I never really thought about that detail. What's the significance?
Well, the curriculum points out that this was basically the going rate for a slave back then. It kind of reduces Joseph to a commodity, strips him of his humanity.
So it's like they're saying, you're worth nothing to us, just a piece of property to be traded. That's chilling.
Right. But it also sets up this interesting contrast between worldly value and, like, Joseph's inherent worth in God's eyes.
That's a really thought-provoking point. So even though he's been betrayed and sold into slavery, the curriculum is still suggesting that God has a plan for him.
Yeah, and even in Egypt, Joseph keeps facing these incredible hardships. But the thing is, he always seems to come out on top. It's almost like he's got this, I don't know, like a lucky streak or something.
That's what I was thinking. It's like, come on, how much good luck can one person have? But the curriculum doesn't really call it luck, does it?
No, it definitely doesn't. It frames it more as God's favor being on Joseph. But here's the cool part. It also highlights how Joseph is actively participating in his own success. It's not just blind luck.
So he's not just sitting back, waiting for good things to happen.
Yeah.
He's using his skills and making smart decisions. He's working with what he's got, even though the circumstances are terrible.
Exactly. He's resilient. He's got integrity. And that seems to be a big part of why things keep working out for him, even when it seems impossible.
So it's like, even though God's favor is on him, Joseph still has to play his part. He has to make choices that align with that favor.
Yeah, it's like this interesting partnership between human effort and divine guidance.
That's a fascinating dynamic.
Yeah.
But, and here's the big BUT, then he gets falsely accused by Potiphar's wife and thrown into prison. It's like,
Right.
Wait a minute, God, I thought you were with this guy. How does the curriculum deal with that? It seems like a huge contradiction.
It is a tough one. I mean, if God's favor is supposed to protect Joseph, how does he end up in prison?
Right.
The curriculum doesn't pretend to have all the answers, but it does invite us to wrestle with the mystery of God's plan.
I can appreciate that. It's not trying to give us some easy explanation or brush over the hard questions.
Yeah, and it kind of suggests that sometimes suffering, even when it's totally unfair, can actually be part of God's bigger picture. Like maybe those trials were actually refining Joseph's character and preparing him for something even greater down the line.
So even though it's painful, it's not pointless.
Right. And even in prison, God doesn't abandon Joseph. The curriculum really emphasizes that.
Well, that's good to know, because honestly, it's easy to feel like, okay, if that happened to me, I'd just give up.
It's a natural reaction,
Hmm.
but the story keeps going, and it gets even more interesting from here.
Well, let's not spoil it all just yet. We'll dive into the next chapter of Joseph's story in the next part of our deep dive. So last we left off, Joseph is in prison, like unjustly imprisoned.
Yeah, talk about a raw deal.
But even there, he's still got this, like, aura of success around him. He ends up in a position of authority, even within the prison.
He just can't catch a break, can he? Even when it's bad, it's good.
It's almost like he's being groomed for something bigger, you know? Like all this hardship is actually preparing him for some huge leadership role.
And that's exactly where the story takes us, doesn't it?
You're thinking of Pharaoh's dream, right?
Bingo. The curriculum points out that this isn't just some random plot twist. It's like this perfectly timed opportunity for Joseph to, like, step onto the world stage.
It's more than just interpreting the dream, isn't it? It's about what he does with that interpretation.
Yeah. He doesn't just tell Pharaoh what the dream means. He lays out this whole plan for how to deal with the famine.
Practical solutions, not just mystical mumbo-jumbo.
Exactly. He's showing that he's not just a dreamer, he's a doer.
Which makes him pretty much the only person in Egypt who can save the day.
Talk about being in the right place at the right time.
Right. But can you imagine the pressure? Like going from prisoner to basically the second most powerful person in Egypt.
I mean, that's got to do something to a person's ego, right?
Totally. But here's the thing. The curriculum emphasizes that Joseph doesn't let it go to his head.
No tyrant vibes.
Not at all. He actually uses his authority to serve others, to make sure the Egyptian people are taken care of during the famine.
So he's not abusing his power or anything.
Nope. It almost seems like he's humbled by the whole experience. The curriculum even points out this one detail that I thought was really cool. Joseph actually changes his name to an Egyptian name.
What? Why would he do that?
It's like he's trying to fully embrace his new role, to really integrate into Egyptian society, not set himself apart as, better than everyone else just because he's in charge.
Huh. That is interesting. It shows a real humility, doesn't it? Not something you'd always expect from someone in that position.
So then, fast forward a bit, and we've got his brothers showing up in Egypt, desperate for food.
Oh, man. The moment of truth.
The curriculum really highlights the tension of that scene. I mean, imagine seeing the very people who betrayed you now bowing down before you, begging for help. What would you do?
Oh, I don't even know. I'd probably be tempted to rub it in their faces a little.
Right. But Joseph doesn't do that. He chooses to forgive them. And it's not just this, superficial forgiveness. He actually seems to understand that their actions, even though they were awful, somehow played a role in God's bigger plan.
Wow, that's some serious spiritual maturity right there. To be able to see the good that came out of something so bad.
I know, it's mind-blowing. And that forgiveness, it really sets the stage for this beautiful reunion of the whole family.
The prodigal son's return, right?
But it's more than that. It's actually fulfilling God's promise to Jacob. The one where he said his descendants would become a great nation.
Yeah, the family drama is tying into this much bigger story, this whole unfolding of God's plan.
And that leads us to another really important moment, Jacob's blessing upon his sons. Specifically, the prophecy about Judah. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Oh, that's a good one. The curriculum gets into how Jacob basically prophesies over his sons. He's not just giving them fatherly advice. He's speaking about their destiny, their lineage, their future. And when it comes to Judah, well, let's just say it's pretty clear that he's the chosen one.
The future king.
You got it. There's all this imagery of kingship and power associated with Judah. And the curriculum draws this direct line from that prophecy to King David and ultimately to Jesus.
It's saying that this one moment, this blessing from a father to his son, is actually pointing towards the coming of the Messiah.
Pretty wild, huh? This seemingly insignificant event is woven into this much grander story, this whole plan of God for humanity.
I love how it shows that our lives, even in their ordinariness, can be part of something way bigger than we can imagine.
Totally. It's almost like we're all participating in this epic story, even if we don't always realize it.
That's a really cool thought to leave us on. But there's still more to unpack. In the final part of our deep dive, we'll explore how the curriculum connects all of this to our lives today. Okay, so we've talked about all the crazy ups and downs in Joseph's life, but I'm wondering, how does the curriculum connect this ancient story to us today? What are we supposed to take away from it?
Well, it's not like we're facing literal famine or getting sold into slavery by our siblings, but the curriculum doesn't shy away from the fact that we all face hardships in life.
Sure, but it's still hard to see the connection sometimes. Like, how is Joseph's story supposed to help me when I'm dealing with a job loss or going through a divorce or, just feeling lost in life?
It's more about the bigger picture. It
Yeah.
encourages us to see Joseph as like an example of how God can work through any situation, even the really tough ones.
So it's not like a step-by-step guide to life.
Right. It's more like an invitation to look for God's hand in our own lives, even when things are really hard.
I like that. It's about finding that deeper meaning, even in the midst of our struggles.
Exactly. And it reminds us that God can use those struggles to shape us, to help us grow and become more like him.
So even when things feel like they're falling apart, there's still a purpose to it all.
That's the idea. And that's where the whole idea of God's sovereignty comes in. The curriculum talks about how God can work through anything, even our mistakes, to accomplish his plan.
It's almost like he can take our messes and turn them into something beautiful.
That's a great way to put it. It's like a tapestry, with all these different threads, some light, some dark, but woven together, they create this incredible picture.
Yeah, it's not just about the happy, perfect parts of life. It's about all of it, the good and the bad.
And I think that leads to another really important lesson from Joseph's story, which is forgiveness. The curriculum really emphasizes how powerful forgiveness can be, both for the person who's forgiving and the person being forgiven.
That's a tough one, though. I mean, it's easy to say forgive and forget, but actually doing it, that's a whole other story.
It is hard, especially when someone has really hurt us. The curriculum acknowledges that, but it also points out that forgiveness isn't something we have to do on our own. We can ask God for help.
So it's about surrendering those hurts to God and letting him work in us.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
about letting go of that bitterness and resentment and opening ourselves up to healing and reconciliation.
And in Joseph's story, it's that forgiveness that allows the family to come back together.
And it paves the way for this incredible future for his descendants.
It's like this ripple effect. One act of forgiveness leads to all these amazing things.
Yeah, and I think that's a really hopeful message to end on. Joseph's story reminds us that no matter how bad things get, there's always hope.
Hope for healing, hope for reconciliation, and hope that God is working behind the scenes, even when we can't see it.
And maybe, just maybe, our own lives, with all their ups and downs, are playing a small part in something much bigger than we can even imagine.
It's a thought-provoking idea, isn't it, that we're all part of this grand story that God is writing. Well, that about wraps up our deep dive into the story of Joseph.
It's a powerful story.
It really is. And we hope you've gained some new insights from this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep seeking those deeper truths that connect us all.